Okay, great. We had a chance to look at the film and to really evaluate, the different things that happened in the game, and there was some growth, some positive things in certain areas, but there are certainly, some things that we got to clean up and to find the consistency of play that we're looking for. There were areas that felt like we built on some continuity in the pass game. Offensively, and then there were just a bunch of areas that we really felt like there was a little bit of rustiness coming off of the bye week and trying to get back to finding our fundamentals of our football and our footwork and our hand placement and different things, some tackling on the defensive side, stuff that we have to shore up to make sure that we can play up to a standard that we want to hold our guys to. So again, got to take all the things in, and finishing on a drive, but then with the time left, trying to just stop the Chiefs from getting into field goal range right there to win the game, so that we could extend it and try to give us another opportunity.
All right, and we will start with questions. Nick, you have your hand raised, so you can kick us off. And if anyone has any questions, just feel free to raise your hand.
Dave, yesterday you indicated that the players are kind of seeing, what you guys are aiming for in terms of the standard and what you want to be. When you watch the film with them, what are some specific things from yesterday you could point to kind of enhance their vision of that?
I would say it's the high effort of play. I think it's also just the improvement offensively on third down and finding ways to have success. And then there were some great plays on the defensive side, knocking balls down, creating 5 sacks, different things like that. So there's growth special teams wise, except for the opening kick. I saw some great coverage in our units and things that we can certainly build on. And I think that just in general, finding a way to fight ourselves back into the game with 2 excellent stops by the defense on the last 2 drives to give the offense an opportunity, to go down there and tie it up and then have the 2-point conversion, to try to give us a chance to extend the game.
All right, we will go to Jeff Hawkins, followed by Mike Kay.
Greetings, Coach. Can you hear me?
Got you.
Hey, thanks a lot. Last night, from yourself and around the locker room, there's a lot of talk about Young's confidence and how it's growing. Against the Chiefs, he seemed to be reading and reacting better when he was blitzed. Is that part of this progression?
Bryce just took advantage of another opportunity, a great week of preparation by the whole group, and it was great to have Thielen back out there. It was great to have David Moore, step in with Jalen down, and so I saw some good trust factor and some growth in terms of just the chemistry of the pass game that came alive really for us in some critical areas.
Was waiting just in case there was a follow-up. Dave, what's the latest on Jatavian and how are his spirits kind of 24 hours after all this?
Yeah, scary moment. We're right now, what it appears is that we avoided a really, pretty bad injury, based on the nature of the play. But it is a neck injury. He's here. He's in the building. He's getting worked on. We're still evaluating all of that. We're going to have to take that all the way to Wednesday to see what his availability might be for this week. But again, that's something that we have to still, be really diligent about, in terms of collecting all the information and data that we have with the nature of the injury.
And then if I could follow up, yesterday you brought up the fight in the team. There was also a lot of feistiness. We saw from Adam, we saw from Sam. How do you measure that? Or I guess how do you pick and choose when to coach up that feistiness? Just because obviously penalties and distractions and stuff like that. How do you manage that?
Yeah, I think it's playing with passion, playing with everything you got, and that's what we ask our guys to do. And There's always that fine line, though. You got to toe the line, and you got to know when to back off. And we have to make sure that we continue to, extend the type of respect to our opponent, to the officials, to the other coaches, and all that stuff to make sure that we're playing a style of football that we believe in. And so we want to have that passion. We want to have that fire. And then guys got to know, and that's where our teammates can also help out. Hey, grab your guy and get him out of there, in these different situations. And these guys are laying everything they have out there for their teammates. And so I love that part of it. I can't sit up here and say I don't love that, to see the fight and the guys, it matters to them. All these moments are critical. Every play is important. Everything counts. And so I love that mentality. We got to be able to toe that line and know when enough is enough to back off and then just go to the next play.
All right, and we will move to Alex, followed by Darren.
Hey Dave, thanks for taking the time, and it's good news about Jatavion. Glad to hear that. Talking about, you mentioned a lot in your post-game presser yesterday about missed opportunities, and I think you specifically focused on the red zone, getting field goals instead of touchdowns. When you go back and watch the film, what was that a product of? Was there any execution lapses? Do you wish you had any, play calling things back? So what was that a product of?
Yeah, offensively, I would say that, a couple of missed opportunities, some near misses on a couple of throws. I think those are things that we'll continue to improve on just with time on task, and just continue to grow the chemistry between Bryce and between the wide receivers. I think the Chiefs defense, they rushed us really well down there, and they played some nice coverages and complements to the things that we did. So they made it challenging as well. And that's kind of life in the red zone. When you face a good team that can rush you with 4 and play different coverages, so they made it challenging, certainly from that standpoint. And on the flip side, defensively, we kept them to field goals early on, but they got that 2-minute touchdown, right there at the end of the half. They had a nice drive down there on a 3rd and long and came up with a nice throw and catch for a touchdown, which was one, that ended up, being a difference in the game there. So I think it's just sustaining that part. And then they had, the Chiefs had a really good day on 3rd down against us, and, Pat Mahomes kind of extending some plays and finding some guys available. So a couple of the critical, areas that I think that we can, lock in on and improve on this week.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
Dave, when you're talking to the guys, how do you sort of balance from a philosophical standpoint the things that went well, the team they went well against versus it was a loss?
Yeah, I try not to make it about the opponent. It's got to be about us. It's got to be about our fundamentals and our execution, the things we're counting on, the consistency of play. And we have to be able to go through it, and tell the truth about the things that we did well and the things that we didn't, and just go right back to the basics, which has been the message the whole season. And I know that always works. That's always a place that we should go, is let's go inwards with our focus in terms of what we can improve upon, and the things that we can build on, that we had success with.
Is it tricky, though, to balance that against the human nature of, that's Patrick Mahomes on the other side, Andy Reid, a team that's had so much success?
Hopefully it becomes kind of the normal message from me to the team, that, we're going to look at the things that we can control first and foremost, and we can't control what opponent shows up here or that we go to play. Those are the teams that we're focused on playing from a schematic standpoint. But it really does just come back to our execution, and making sure that we're making those plays and trusting each other in those critical moments.
All right, we will go to Sheena, followed by David and Joe. Sheena, you have your hand raised. You're on mute. All right, we'll move to David, followed by Joe.
Hey, Coach. Hope you had a good night last night after the game. I wanted to ask you, we didn't realize when we talked to you yesterday that Bryce had a speech to the team in the locker room. What can you tell us about that, and what did that message say to you?
I'm just proud of Bryce, the way he's handled, all this, and the way that he's progressed on a weekly basis. And, each week there has been improvement. in the things that he's doing. And so, as the quarterback, to have a moment in the locker room where you can share your heart, you can share where you're at with all of it. I think it's important that the guys continue to connect that way. And the guys responded positively. And I think that, in general, the message is like, this is the brand of football that we can play. And on top of that, it's like, okay, now let's get back to work and see what did we miss out there. I felt like there was a lot of meat left on the bone. And so while it shows when you play a version of football where you can be competitive, especially against one of the league's, best teams right now, it's still got to be about the finish, So it was a good moment for the guys to connect, and all the guys to a man, where they had that mixed feeling of being sick, that, this was an opportunity missed, and also to know, like, we are continuing to improve on a weekly basis, which has been our goal.
And what's it mean that this team now is the point where you're really not looking at moral victories, that you're really looking at, we should have won this game? What's that say about where you are right now?
Yeah, I just hope that's the expectation of our group, that we all work so hard on a weekly basis. We start off and grade the film. We move on to the next opponent with intentionality and just how important all the walkthroughs, the meetings, the practices, all those things that go into this product is to win. That's the ultimate goal, is to find a way to finish and win these games. And so I can feel that expectation is starting to grow here with our group, that we're expecting for these things to lead to the final result that we want, which is the win, and to have that kind of energy and mentality going into the week's preparation. It makes everything matter.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Can I ask my question now? I'm on my phone. I normally don't do Zoom on my phone. I just figured out how to unmute it. Is that okay, Michaela?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Hi, David, Sheena. Quick question for you. The Chiefs didn't punt until almost the last 7 minutes of the game. I know that there were a lot of short yard completions into the secondary. Are there any plans to kind of integrate Caleb Farley more into that rotation?
Caleb's been doing a great job. He's certainly earning an opportunity to show what he can do out there, and that would be great as well. I think, it's just a matter of, guys like knowing the call, making sure that you're matching in your area. If it's a zone play, making sure you're in your landmarks and rallying up and making those plays. And I think, a lot of the extra yards are some of the things that we're talking about, to address this week, is making sure that first guy there gets that tackle down, and that's one of the areas that we know we can improve from last week.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go with Joe, followed by Deshaun.
Hey, Dave, you guys seem like when you're down at the goal line, you've had a lot of success running behind Rob Hunt. I know, as you self-scout, you don't want to have trends and tendencies that the defensive guys are picking up on, but how tempting is it when you need a tough yard to just, run behind 50?
We feel good about, the different run schemes that we have and our starting point. And I think, Joe, like to your point, tendencies aren't always bad if you can have something that counters it and you're aware of, the direction of different types of runs that can work to your advantage as well. But Rob's just done such a great job, of creating movement and avoid and Chuba, just learning the type of patience and where he needs to go with the ball in these different run styles. But, having Robert in there, having D-Lou in there in the inside, and the guys working together gives us confidence to run the ball and have a little other couple of wrinkles in there when we get inside the 5-yard line.
Also, didn't know how much tape you've dived into yet, but is it weird looking at the Tampa Bay offense and these guys that you coached, running Liam's scheme now?
Yeah, it's a lot of the crossover film, right? Because we're in the same division. So just, seeing what a good job Liam's been doing with that group, Baker and the guys, finding ways to have success. It was a little bit more strange earlier on in the season, but, as the season goes along, we're so inundated in the things that we're doing and trying to grow here. It's kind of like, you gotta snap into just like, what are our guys doing, and how can we improve our processes, and as I start to get rolling on the Bucks defense, and the different challenges that they present to us from an offensive standpoint, it's just kind of seeing the things that I kind of remembered that they were doing, the wrinkles that they've gotten to since. It's Todd Bowles' defense, and he's not going to sit in the same deal and kind of let you attack him that way. So it's been good to just start to turn the page and get back into the game plan process this week and get ready for the Bucks.
And just real quick, what's the schedule this week? I guess guys had today off.
Yeah, we wanted to get a jump start on the game planning, knowing that we were going to have Thursday, Thanksgiving afternoon, as an afternoon evening, a good opportunity for the players and coaches, to reconnect with families. And so we just decided to give the players today off. They're still coming in and, doing all their normal body checks and all that, but to allow us to just get a little bit of a jump on it, knowing we're going to lose a little bit of an afternoon, evening later on in the week.
All right, and
Hey, I'm sorry.
we'll close with Deshaun and Cassidy. Thanks so much.
Hey, Dave, I wanted to ask about David Moore, someone you've been with a few teams now. Based on the film from Sunday, but also what you know of him, what's allowed him to have success?
It's his work ethic. It's his availability. That's been I think the greatest thing that I've learned about David over the years is just he finds a way to be out there on the field, and just he works at it, and he knows what he needs to prepare himself for Sunday, and he makes sure he gets that done. He'll grab an extra coach. He'll spend a little extra time doing this or that. Getting his body ready for practice. He takes practice very seriously. He's doing special team stuff. He's been playing different positions from an offensive standpoint for us, and having the familiarity in our system allows him to do that. And then a guy that you can just count on, on those critical third downs in those pass situations, it really gives confidence to the quarterback, in this case, Bryce, to know that David's going to be where he's supposed to be at the right time and to show up big on a couple of those plays. So just a guy that I love, that I've always, been really fond of. That was, 2017. I was the receivers coach and we drafted him in Seattle, and to see him grow into this pro, I'm just really proud of what he represents and that he's a part of our team.
Thank you.
Hey, Dave. Going back real quick to just Bryce against the blitz yesterday, I think that it's the most he's been blitzed in his career, and ended up having one of his better games against it as well. You talked so much this offseason about wanting him to have that internal clock. How much of that is a product of kind of listening to that clock a little bit more and having it more embedded?
Yeah, it's just the ownership of the concepts, first and foremost, having answers for different pressures. Where am I going with this ball if they do this? Going through all of those what if scenarios. And then on top of that, knowing he's got guys out there that he can trust, and Xavier's growth, having Thielen back, David Moore out there, Jatavian adding his things, Tommy had a nice catch on a third down. Knowing that the guys are continuing to be on the same page gives him that confidence to play fast. He was able to get to a couple of scrambles and pick up some yards that way in some different situations. And I think all of those decisions happen faster the more confident and comfortable you are with the system and the guys as they work together. So it's really a tribute to the whole group.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks so much, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
All right. Thank you.